Yeah. Does it help you being a past college coach? And let's say like Urban Meyer, past college coach. Now he's in the NFL. He was probably several years ago familiar with these guys while they were in high school, junior high school. And does that help you as an evaluator when you go through this draft process to know what you possibly saw in the kid years ago that some of the NFL coaches haven't seen?
I think absolutely. I think that's a great point you make. Urban has a little bit of an advantage, or any college coach coming in that first or second year. After that, it balances out a little bit, but these kids, their families, their background, what they went through, where they came from and what they had to overcome. Or were they entitled? Conversely, were they entitled the whole time? Or do they really love football? You know those things because you know them a little bit more intimately. And, when you recruit, a lot of these kids, you start recruiting when they're 15 years old, sometimes a little bit younger. You're starting to make contact with them at camps. And so you get to know them very, very well. I think that's an advantage. Now, the disadvantage is I think it's harder to move from college to the pros. And, I was lucky. I was a head coach in the NFL, and then I came to college and I found the adjustment to be a little bit easier. You came to college with more credibility, because you've been in the NFL. Where in the NFL, you have to earn credibility. I don't really care who you are, whether you're Urban Meyer or you're Vince Lombardi, NFL players are going to, they're going to respect you to a certain extent, but you have to really earn their trust and earn their respect. And that's not easy to do when you're used to dealing with 17, 18, 19-year-olds that kind of just, whatever you say, they jump. NFL players, they want to know, well, why? Why are you asking me to do this? Because it's their career, it's their job, and if you can make them a better player, elongate their career, help them make money, help them win more games, they'll do anything for you. But until you demonstrate that, there's just a tiny bit of apprehension.
And Coach Mora, you do bring up a great point too. As we get closer to the draft, especially, you're going to hear, we always hear a lot of people talking about potential overvalued prospects or possible busts. A lot of us forget that these are indeed kids. So instead of going that direction, I'd like to keep it positive based off of what you know and what you've seen. Give us a couple names of players that you think aren't being talked about enough or possible undervalued talent.
Well, you're catching me off guard on that, but I'm gonna let me look at my notes here. I got a lot of notes now. I've been doing a lot of these, but I think there's some. I got to do this for a team here in a minute. I'm looking at a guy like Joe Tyron. He's edge rusher out of University of Washington. Now, here's a guy. He didn't play last year, so he opted out in 2020. So he doesn't have that tape, and I think he's probably undervalued. But if you look back at his career, he's been a really successful player. He had in 2019, he had 9 sacks, he had 28 hurries, it led the Pac-12. It's a pass-happy league a little bit, but there's some good talent there. I think he's a guy. I think I'm going to stay out west with the Pac-10, but Osa Odigizua. Let me hear you say that name back to me. And he was I'm probably playing the homer a little bit by promoting him, but he played at UCLA. I recruited him, and I coached his brother as well. And I hear his name a little bit, but not a lot. I think he's probably a second-round value. But if you knew this kid's background, if you knew what he'd been through, if you knew who he was when he entered UCLA and who he is now in terms of his work ethic and his discipline and his toughness and his productivity, you'd go, hey, I'm going to jump on the OSA train because it's going in the right direction. He's got huge upside. So, those are a couple of West Coast guys that I like. Let me tell you one other thing here. Okay. So you guys are going through this quarterback transition, and for years now, not just for a year. My dad has been, he loves Taysom Hill. And I played against, when he was at BYU, we played against him, and, he was a booger, but there's something in there. I kind of trust my dad when it comes to football players. I don't know if he can evaluate a quarterback worth a hoot or not, but I know this, he does love him some Taysom Hill. So maybe that's a good sign. I don't know.